Right, shoot.
How's the squad looking for Reading? Is Thomas Cass back in training at the moment?
No, he's probably a week to 10 days away, I think, from being able to perform at championship level. Like I said, it's been a disappointing one. So it's a huge player for us, if you like, that has not been quite right physically for a while now. So if we can get him back into the sort of run-in, as we would call it, last 18 games, that can only be a positive.
Is that hamstring with him? Or thigh, was it?
Well, he's had a knee tendonitis problem, and then this one was a hamstring, wasn't it? After he pulled out of the game against Shrewsbury in the first game.
Weekend off, obviously, after facing Barnsley. Have you given the squad some extra time off, or have you been using that time to work on particular stuff on the training pitch?
It's been a really good 10 days, to be honest, and we've managed to tick all the boxes. Like, we gave the boys a couple of days off after the game. Some a little bit more, 3 days and 4 days actually for a couple that we felt needed it, that played all the minutes. I've really enjoyed it because I've been able to really sort of get down and dirty and coach individuals, like some really enjoyable individual sessions working on technique and various elements of the game. And we do need that as a squad because so many young players, and something that I, like I say, really enjoy and I think is really beneficial. So we've had I think a nice blend, and hopefully we should be razor sharp going into this game.
Did you watch the Liverpool game, or did you avoid that? Obviously thinking.
Well, at first I thought about, out of spite, not watching it, but I did send the manager Sam a good luck message, and I watched it in the end. It was one of them I wasn't gonna, but I did, and I thought it showed actually that Shrewsbury are a good side, and in those individual cup matches they're very well equipped, and I say they deserved their win and they deserved their draw yesterday against Liverpool.
Obviously Max playing there, and great experience for him as well.
Yeah, he made a couple of great saves. Well, actually that was what made me watch it in the end. Yeah, you're right, it was when I saw Max on the team sheet. And he done well. He's a good young goalkeeper. Like, he made a couple of great saves. His kicking was good, and he's obviously one that we feel can be very successful for us moving forward.
So Reading up next. Do you face them at a good time or a bad time? Because they obviously played on Saturday, but they're actually in a very good run of form at the moment. I think they've only lost once.
They got beat to Millwall, and they made a lot of changes. I went to the game at the weekend, which probably didn't learn an awful lot, because maybe only one or maybe two maximum will be in that starting 11 for our game. So you can see why he's given them the rest, and the majority of the boys that started against Forest a week before wasn't even on the bench, so he'd probably give them a couple of days off. So I just think it's a championship game. I always enjoy going to Reading because it's always quite an open game. We always travel really well there as a fan base, and whether it be player or coach, I've always, had competitive games, and they're a good side. I think they were the highest spenders. Is that correct? Net spenders in the division in the summer. They're loaded with quality, in terms of like individual quality, and you could say they were underperforming. In fact, probably the start of their turnaround was after we beat them here, and they played extremely well in that game, second half, and we actually we edged it really for a good first half performance, but second half they were on top.
Have you come across Mark Bowen much before?
A little bit, yeah. Not like I have some of the other managers, but obviously it was an interesting scenario the way it evolved, with him being the technical director and then moving into the manager's shoes. But I suppose the proof's in the pudding, and at the moment he certainly got them going to the point where the individuals are flourishing.
January transfer window. Anything close to happening on incomings at all in your league?
Yeah, I feel like a broken record at the moment, because if you look at the market as a whole, probably not a lot's happened really. Do you know what I mean? There's not been huge amounts in terms of championship, and I just think there's going to be a mad flurry in those last sort of 2 or 3 days, all over football, to be honest. And like, the food chain starts obviously in the Premier League, and people are fighting for various things there, whether it be Europa League to make sure they stay up, to get out of relegation trouble. Some are still in the cup and are often playing their sort of backup players, which are the types of players that clubs like us and other Championship clubs would be interested in. And obviously that filters down all the way into sort of League Two with the types of clubs that want our players on loan as well. So, yeah, listen, any manager wants to reduce the number of his squad, but make sure it's of maximum sort of promotion type quality, if you like. So, we are active, we are trying. It's not easy, but they've been identified in terms of the positions and the players, and then it's about getting over the line, which isn't easy, let me tell you, being sort of right in the mix of it. But it's been nice. Like, we've got enough experts, if you like, at the football club now, that I can actually focus on the most important thing, which is keeping the boys lively and coached and organised, ready for the big games coming up.
How many players would you like this week? I think you said 2 to 3 previously.
Yeah.
Has that changed, or?
Well, I suppose it changes as per development, depending on like Callas coming back and his form. That's a player that then you think, all right, well, we might not need one. It seems to change by the day. Adam got a little bit of a knock today on his ankle again, which has been sort of a bit disruptive in that one. But he might be fit for tomorrow. It was only a little knock, so we'll have to see how he settles with that one. And then obviously the striker is something that we've gone public with, but so is everyone else. And there's probably about 15 clubs in the Championship looking for a striker. So yeah, it's competitive out there, but all we can do is give of our best. And if we don't bring anyone in, it's no problem. I'll just have to juggle it around and make sure that we adapt our style like we've had to do pretty much for 4 years here through losing for one reason or another quality players out of the first team.
And Naki Wells, I think, is the one that's most linked at the moment with Bristol City, just been recalled by Burnley. Have you spoken to Sean Dyche at all?
No, I haven't spoken to Sean. Obviously, again, it comes back down to the same old straight bat, if you like, that it's not our player. So I mean, and it's difficult to talk about other clubs' players, whether it be loans or permanents. But again, we're in the market for a striker.
Are you able to clear up a couple of little things on your players? Josh Brownhill, bit of speculation about his long-term future. Been reported he might even have a release clause in his contract, and there might be a chance he might be leaving the club. Is there anything in that? Could he possibly be leaving Ashton Gate, or would you rule that?
Well, I think, to broaden it, there's going to be interest in our players. You know what I mean? Like, with the way the players that we sign and develop, and that's been proven not only over the last 4 years, over the last 10 years. And that's the position we're in at the moment. We're trying to move towards this sort of sustainable football club, and that's part of it, is the trading. So you've got to expect the young players, Masengos, O'Dowders, Brownhills, Eliassons, particularly if they're playing and performing, to have major interest, because of course the club's looking have to look at players under 24 because they're affordable, accessible, available. And I suppose one thing we have done as a football club is we've traded over the last 4 years. So people will look at Bristol City and say that is a club that trades, and maybe look to do deals. So again, I can't go into any specifics, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get offers in the next 3 or 4 days for our players.
Just on Liam Walsh, a lot of fans are wondering what's going on there. Is he out of contract in the summer, or has he got maybe an option here? Or?
Yeah, he's got an option. So we've got a year option on Walshy, and I think, just to sum it up, really. I spoke to Walshy yesterday, funnily enough. Dino went to the game with Pato, I think, to watch Coventry versus Birmingham, and he's performing extremely well. He's coming out in our statistics as the second best ranked centre midfielder in the division. And my thought process on Walshy was he needs 40 games on the spin. This is a player that's extremely talented, better in a 3 than in a 2 due to that's the attributes that he's got and the cover that he needs in other deficiencies. But we signed a player that we believed that could go into the first team, which he did and performed reasonably well. But still, to me, as a coach and as a developer, it looked like he needed 40 games on the spin. Now, whether that is, doesn't really matter. That could have been Bristol City, 40 games. That could have been Coventry, 40 games. But this has been very consistent in our communication with Walshy on that. And he knows that, and Coventry know that. So I think he's done extremely well. I think Coventry is a good club with a good manager. And he's been playing well, and he's one that personally I keep a close eye on of the loans, because I believe he's a very good football player.
When you say you look at the statistics for him and they show that he's one of the best central midfielders in League One, can you give us a bit of flavour as to what those statistics are? What kind of stuff do you look at?
Well, the flavour is that we individualise what we see as the most important attributes for our particular game. So if we loan Tyreek Bakinson out, for example, to Plymouth, we expect him. How are you going to get in Bristol City's first team if you're not the best midfielder in the division or up there in the top three? Do you know what I mean? So we've got to be looking like almost from a clean slate and without bias. Would we sign Tyreek Bakinson or Liam Walsh from their loan clubs if they were permanent at that club? Because we believe that they're the best in the division to get into Bristol City's first team. And even then, it's a really big jump. It's a really big jump from top of League One to top 6 aspirations in the Championship. So again, any individual player on their own can probably be built around. Do you know what I mean? But they've got to make the team on merits and make everybody else better. So with Walsh, I've always believed, listen, rightly or wrongly, the proof of being the pudding, that he needed, for where he was in his career, 40 games on the spin to iron out all the little bits that I saw as not quite 100% starter for every single game in Bristol City's first team, competing for the top 6 in the Champ.
How do you measure that progress? Do you do it by your eye, or do you actually look at statistics?
It's everything. Yeah, it's the eye. It's talking to the managers. It's making sure you're talking to the player. It's the statistics. It's the plan and the development plan for these younger ones. And like Mo Issa, for example, we made a decision. No, okay, we don't see him as Bristol City's long-term future. We will sell, and we sold. Smodic, again, different story. Part of the long-term plans. Needs a step. Never played Championship before. Ideally, it would have been bottom 6 of the Championship, if you like. But also a very good club in Peterborough, where again performed well and scored at the weekend.
Just last couple of questions. Is everybody in agreement on transfer targets? Because obviously you have several people feeding into that, don't you?
I think so. It doesn't really get to a point where somebody's saying yes, somebody's saying no. Do you know what I mean? It might come to a point financially where somebody's saying no, and that'll be Mark Ashton working in the numbers or the ownership of the football club. But we generally don't get to that point, to be honest. We all are in sort of cohesion in terms of, like, the communication's quite good at this club in terms of it works all the way along the line, all the way through to the owner on a regular basis. So, like, Steve's unbelievably supportive and wants the best for the football club. Obviously, he wants the best for the football club within the numbers, and that's why we've traded, and I think traded really well over the past sort of 4 or 5 years to go and be successful. And if we keep making the right decisions, hopefully it become to us. It'd be nice to say, right, no more scouts allowed at Ashton Gate from a selfish point of view, because it's never easy when you're pulling. If you pull one of your best players out of the team, even if the player coming in is better than the player that you sold, there is an integration period. And whether that's a foreign player and it becomes about the culture and the living style and the food and the weather, or whether that's an individual that's just got to get to know how the team play and the individuals. And that's why you see Pato come back in almost like a new signing and fit in seamlessly, because he knows everybody and he knows what everybody expects. And if his attitude's right, like it is at the moment, then top player.
Just finally, I haven't had a chance to ask you for a week or two, but the whole Eddie Nketiah situation, not asking you on Eddie, but I just wondered if you were a bit annoyed with how Arsenal had sort of not behaved, but they obviously had that thing on the website where they showed the player with a Bristol City badge, and maybe it was obviously quite a high-profile chase. There was a lot in the media. Just wondered if the club was annoyed at Arsenal at all.
No.
In the way that played out.
No. Listen, again, we go back to Eddie would have had a number of options. Arsenal would have had a number of options, and the best option is Arsenal. Simple as that. And they've chose to keep a player in. The circumstances that lead up to that, again, there's nothing really to do with us. And if Eddie Nketiah is getting minutes at Arsenal, like, who can complain? Not Leeds, not Bristol City, not any other club that was interested in a good player. So, like, am I going to deny the interest? No, because, like, he is a good player and we was interested. But at the same time, Arsenal is parent club, and if he's getting minutes for Arsenal, and that's obviously their prerogative, nobody really can complain. And what we want, more importantly as well, is the good relations with the big clubs, because the next time the player of that quality comes about, we want to make sure that they believe in us as much as we believe in that individual player.
Your former club as well. Yeah.
Former club, statue outside Highbury.
I know it's kind of like ground in the football fabric now, but the January transfer window, is it like annoying for you as a coach?
Do you know what? It's funny, isn't it? Because there's so much like emotion, pressure, like financial reward, cost. You know what I mean? Like you're permanently weighing up all these decisions, and like you got to find a little bit of time to enjoy it, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? That's the bit that, like I say, you enjoy the wins. Like the pressure for me is all internal. Do you know what I mean? Because I want success for the football club and for the players. So I've got certainly a lot better at managing the sort of the outside noise, if you like, which can be extensive because there's really passionate people regarding football. If you look at any level, when you're in the media, you'll see do you know what I mean, the swings of emotion every week in the various parts of the country. And I think that we try and keep this sort of consistency with the boys because we believe that we're a young-ish group. You know, I think we had the balance lovely at the start of the season with the right talent but inexperience and experience. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see that through with circumstance in terms of injuries and various bits and bobs, but that happens to every club, but it's happened to us at key players. But we're right in the mix. Like, we've made up however many points in the last 4 games on the leaders, 7-8 points on the leaders, and it's all to play for. And we've got to ideally reduce the numbers, which we've done now, add the quality, which hopefully we'll do over the next couple of days. If we can, great. If we can't, we've still got quality. And it was interesting today, the boys were buzzing. We only had 17 training, and it was interesting why the boys were buzzing so much. Is it because they haven't had a game for a week? They've had a bit of a rest. Do you know what I mean? Is there only 17 players training and everybody knows they're involved? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can get 24, 25 training and it's like, ugh, there's too many. There's a song, isn't there? Too many men. Which is why we've tried to just get that right, boys. We're going with you. Yes, we're going to try and get you some help, but there's the numbers we want.
I mean, it also from that point of view, because of the distraction, you talk about the noise, but from a player's point of view, you kind of, because now you've been however many transfer windows, I can't think off the top of my head, but it's like 7 or 8 transfer windows since you've been here. So in terms of how that impacts on players. In terms of
it's bound to. Listen, it happened to me when I was a player. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? You get a sniff, as they call it, from a club, your agent. There's so many dynamics to it. The agents are naturally trying to get the boys to re-sign contracts. So sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not true. With the information that comes into the boys, it's going to get them think. Some of them will be on Rightmove, having a look at various areas and housing. Been there, done it. Do you know what I mean? And I know, however intelligent you are as a player, like that little seed gets dropped in your head, you're going to start thinking about it. So we try really hard, like holistically, do you know what I mean, as well, to make sure that the boys have got a sounding board, that they can come and see me, that they have to know that I want the best for them as well. I want the best for Bristol City, of course I do, and that's the priority. But it's still the individual needs to know that I've got their best interests at heart, and that player-coach relationship is just so important. So, yeah, listen, we're there for them, and whether that's I've got an addiction, I've split up with my girlfriend, Gaffer go through the clips with me, like I want to move to a Premier League club. We have to get that balance between being right, honest and proper.
Thank you very
Okay,
much. Cheers, mate.
thank you.